Hello, good evening. I'm here to do a little talk on adrenal disorders from Dr. Goyo's lecture last week on Wednesday the 4th. Only 1 week, huh? Crazy. Anyway, I'll get started. This was a really long lecture and I probably put too much into it, but I have like 5 pages of notes here. I'll try to be quick. Anyway, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do an adrenal overview, anatomy, a little bit of physiology, and a little bit of the biochem that goes into that, along with those deficiencies in the enzymes that are found in the adrenal cortex and what disorders those lead to. We're going to talk about hyper and hypofunction disorders, both of the cortex as well as the medulla, and then we're going to go into some Oman correlates, and then we're going to talk about glucocorticoid therapy, the guidelines that she gave us for that. Okay, so to get started, if you have First Aid 2010, go to page 287 to get that biochem pathway of all the enzymes that are there. You don't have to do it, but I'm going to start out with that, so it will help to have that. Or you can go to her slide 45 of her lecture. Anyway, okay, so the cortex, we've gone over this a number of times. 3 zones from outside to in. We have glomerulosa, the big fasciculata, and then reticularis. And then we have the medulla. Cortex, mesoderm, medulla, neurocrest. So then back to the cortex, we have glomerulosa producing aldosterone, the mineralocorticoids, salt, the fasciculata producing glucocorticoids, cortisol, that's your sugar, and some androgens, that's where you get the sugar sex, but really it's just mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids in the fasciculata, and then the androgens, your sex steroids, which give you your characteristic features being produced in the reticularis. So then what stimulates those different parts of the cortex? In the glomerulosa, you're producing aldosterone, which is responding, the aldosterone synthesis is responding to angiotensin II, which is stimulated downstream by renin production in the kidney. That leads to that pathway when you have low volume or low salt concentration in the plasma, right? So it's going to upregulate that aldosterone upstream. So the glomerulosa is not regulated. It's not stimulated directly by ACTH, unlike your fasciculata and reticularis, which are directly regulated by ACTH. So that's a huge difference right there. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. In the medulla, the neurocrest origin portion of the adrenal gland, you have catecholamines. You have epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine being synthesized from tyrosine. So that makes sense, right? Because we're talking about sympathetic nervous system, sympathetic ganglion being neurocrest origin. So that makes sense. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say about the medulla until later when we get to like pheochromocytoma and stuff. But really, I was looking at a Kaplan video, and he put this very nicely. He, don't mind Humphrey, by the way. He's just here hanging. Just wanted to give you guys a little laugh. But the guy on Kaplan, he was talking about the cortex, and really, histologically, they were named because they're histology, and that's what they look different. But really, the only things that differentiate them are what enzymes are present in each section, because that leads to the downhill production of their specific product, aldosterone, cortisol, androgens, right? So all of these steroids are synthesized directly from cholesterol. If you look on that First Aid 287 or from her lecture on slide 45, cholesterol comes from LDL acetate, and it is being this reaction to the steroid precursor is being catalyzed by desmolase. So every other steroid comes from that. So that's a really important enzyme, and that is your rate-limiting enzyme for all of this. And then you have a couple different enzymes. The first branch is 17-alpha hydroxylase. Now, your glomerulosa, which synthesizes aldosterone, does not have that enzyme. So it goes down its pathway and gets down to aldosterone without going through 17-alpha hydroxylase. So if you have a 17-alpha hydroxylase deficiency, you are now not producing cortisol, you're not producing androgens. All of that steroid, all of that precursor steroid molecule is being shunted to the aldosterone pathway. So your symptoms for that for